This episode was brought to you by our new Mastermind program, Holiday to Halo. You get the guidance of both myself and Jacqueline as your coaches inside an amazing group of fellow product-based business owners. Starting in September, we'll be getting a head start and ramping up to make a big impact on sales for the Cyber 5, which is Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. Then on to Christmas revenue strategy. And to boost your growth into the new year, we'll be setting your business up for Halo sales into Q1. We would love for you to join us. Go to theproductboss.com/mastermind for more information. Welcome to the Product Boss Podcast, where we help product-based businesses grow their sales and improve their strategies.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my co-host and biz bestie, Minna, an Amazon guru that has built a multi-six-figure product-based business.
And introducing the other half of the Product Boss, Jacqueline Snyder. She has helped launch and grow over 500 fashion apparel and accessory brands, even one of her own.
And together, we share our inventory of secret weapons that will help you dig deep and do the work it takes.
Are you ready? Let's build together.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Product Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline, with my co-host, the lovely and wonderful Minna. Hey Minna.
Hey Jacqueline.
So we're really excited to talk about what we're calling the half year push. So coming on to June, this is airing in June of 2018. What is happening between Q3 and Q4? What do we have to do and get done between now, which is a really weird time because we're basically like getting into summer. If you've got kids are out of school. So it's this weird sort of time where you feel like I need to be in my business, but maybe I'm not. Or if you don't have kids and you just have your business, summer might just feel like every day. But what we're doing is we're leading into that push right before holidays, right before Q4. And what do we have to do and how we have to rev up for that?
Yeah, when you're thinking about the months, June is really Q2, so it's the last month of Q2. And then July, August, September is Q3. But I like to think of June because my schedule significantly changes. I think of it as my reset month. So Q2 is basically for me, it's only April, May. And June is reset month until my new schedule because my daughter's at home now. And then going into Q3 is July, August, September. So those are their own months, but those are my busiest months. And then really thinking about like what I want to be doing because I want to be doing the things that still fill my pipeline, like move that needle forward and get me into the right spot. So when it becomes to Q4, I'm ready. So thinking of it like that.
So June does tend to be a reset time for a lot of retailers. So if we're going to just think about department stores, June tends to be a time where things are going on sale. And if you sell to a department store, for example, they are not necessarily buying for June, and they also don't typically buy for December. So for things to be delivered, June and December tend to be dead or off months because it is that sort of transition time. So if you're in fashion, spring, summer has basically been, and I'm on the East Coast and God knows when summer is still coming, but with spring, summer technically runs from mid-January, January through May. June, they don't tend to have anything shipped, things go on sale, and then it goes into transition. And that's when you start to see, after 4th of July, you'll start to see back to school type stuff for sure in August, but even more so, everything's getting pushed. Because remember, like, once those holidays pass, like Halloween starts to basically show up in stores now in the summer, I swear, right?
Yeah. And there's some schools that start on August 1st, which is insane-o. And then mid-July, I always mark it on my calendar. And mid-July is always Prime Day. So that's when people are really buying as well. So getting ready for that too, because that on Amazon is even bigger than Black Friday.
So it is a good like marker. It's a 6-month marker of the year where June is sort of like a reset to the next half of the year. And then December, the holidays come, we've done all the sales. And then it's sort of, again, that you get that couple weeks of sort of a rest before you push into whatever your next season is. So we are launching, if you haven't heard already, we are launching a new group coaching / mastermind program that's starting in September. We're calling it Holiday to Halo. So a selling prep group coaching course. And we're calling it more group coaching now because we feel like the needs of our people in the groups are that we're giving a lot of advice. And so it's more of a coaching feel, but it still has that mastermind element to it where there is this group participation. So you're getting to pull from the brains of all these other really amazing and incredible business owners. And so in talking about that, we're going to actually launch it in September because it's that ramp up time, right? Kids should be back in school if you've got kids. It's sort of that new year when for parents, you call it a new year because your kids are back. It's like a reset also in your schedules. And then it's that time to give you that lead up time to what you're pushing for holiday. And then also if there's going to be sales or any sort of promotions that you're doing and really revving up for that.
Yeah, September is a very important month, just like June. So June is reset, September is reset. I feel like November is reset. You just kind of flow through December, don't even, know what's going on. And then January is another reset for me as well. So there's just more significant months than others where you really have to think about what your strategy is and stay ahead of the game a little bit.
Yeah. So thinking about the holiday this year, for everyone, if you do have an item or a product that's sort of gift based, think about the holidays that are coming up. So Hanukkah, for example, is earlier this year. I think it's the beginning of December. So your holiday sales are going to actually push a bit earlier. There's still going to be Black Friday, Cyber Monday right after Thanksgiving, and then pretty much like hit right after that, you're going to get into Hanukkah, which is 8 days of gifts, and then start about 2 weeks later, you're going to hit Christmas. And obviously those are like last minute buyers and people tend to buy on sale at that point. You're going to get a lot of sale purchases. So let's just talk about some of the things that they can start to wrap their minds around when we're going through second or the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about why we're calling it Holiday to Halo too, because it's all about the timing. The holiday season is for us, probably starting with Thanksgiving, so November, and then the halo is in January, where you still get that halo effect of people being in that buying mode and still, beginning the new year, buying so much for their fresh new year, and then you get those remaining sales. Like you can push through that and get a lot of, you know, additional sales because you're prepared for it. So that being said, that's why we called it Holiday to Halo, because I think it's just a great way to think about it. We're prepping all the way from September into the holiday season. And it seems like a long time, but it's not at all. We're testing a few things. And I think one of the things that I'm excited about is if we think about it as we're getting ready for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we can actually have an email sequence that goes out during that time that will be more pronounced during that time. A lot of times I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have had a sequence set up for this special time. Well, we'll do that in this program where we'll give you, direction on how to do a proper Black Friday to Cyber Monday launch and promotion during that time.
So if you go back a few episodes to our episode with Coach Glitter, Tiffany Lee by Master, she has programs on launching your brand through video, but it's a personal brand, right? But whatever the case, if you're not the face of your brand, if you're trying to push the product forward, whatever the case, she talks about the runway. The longer the runway, the better at the end. So she actually has, I don't know if it was like 6 or 8 weeks, like a pre-launch time of 6 to 8 weeks prior to you launching a product, a season, whatever it is that you're trying to push out to your customers. You want to start talking about it. Hence, in June, us talking to you about our coaching that's going to happen in September. So this is just, sharing the insights on this, but that you start to talk about it. You need people to have chances to make decisions, to kind of shop around, to start like ending up in their brain. So when they're laying in bed at night and they're thinking about what they're going to buy their mom or their kid, or for me with Hanukkah, it's like, and we celebrate Christmas, it's like 8 gifts plus Christmas, when they're trying to think about all these things that if they have seen and keep hearing about that one product over and over, it's going to be top of mind. It's going to be fresh. And you're sort of building them into becoming a fan prior to that launch.
Yeah, we call it selling prep because we're getting you ready for those sales that you'll be putting into place. I'm thinking of it like if you want to think of it as like a big trade show that's coming up, and we're getting you ready for that Black Friday trade show that you'll be a part of. And these are the steps that you should be taking. So that way you get to see the amount of sales that you're going to be getting from Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So the following year, you can see what works and what didn't work. In the meantime, from September and October, we'll be getting you ready for getting in front of people. I think that during that holiday season, the buying decision is so easy. You just want them to buy more, you know, and specific things maybe, so steering them in the right direction, but really like getting the strategy ready.
So Halo, just to kind of define for you what a halo is, and this is from Wikipedia, but
Which
but
is
I
always right.
always right. Well, I can quote like there's if you just Google sales halo effect, you'll see a whole bunch of articles on it. But this is just that first thing that pops up on Google. So it says the term halo effect is used in marketing to explain customer bias towards certain products because of favorable experience with other products made by the same company. So what that means basically is if that we talk about no like and trust factor. So if had a favorable experience, so for example with Minna, if they've had a favorable experience with her baby bottle labels and they're like, these are great, it's their go-to product for their kids, plastic items. And then all of a sudden they've switched things around in their lives, or their kids older and their kids going to camp. Listen, there's other products that Minna launches. So let's say her clothing labels. If they weren't buying the two at the same time, they may then Minna might be pushing a new clothing label, a new size, or a new label to label, your pantry. So maybe she's going towards the mom at this point, with like cute other, not kid animals. Then at that point they might say like, oh, we know little labels, we trust little labels, we really like it, they've had this favorable experience with it, and her cute email messaging that she sends them and thanks them, and just the connection she has with her customers, they will be more likely to purchase from her when she launches this new product, or as they're looking for other things. And that's what we're trying to push with you as well, that we are trying to work on you launching for holiday, having, holiday can set you guys up for the quarters after. If you have a great holiday season, that also is the funding that you might need to launch the next product you want to do, or go back into development, or to go back into production on more of this product, or to scale up, or to get a new team member. And so then what it is too is, as you're really doing this push into holiday, that halo effect around that, where you're also convincing them or having them love your product, and so they trust the other things you're selling them as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think of it a lot as the timing thing, cuz my thing is not, my labels are not holiday friendly per se. It's not a holiday product, but when I'm getting into those holiday sales, and then there's the after effect of the halo effect, the timing is everything. Everything. So when they already got a good experience, the convincing is gone. You know, and especially during December and January, and even, Cyber Monday and all that stuff. I don't have to convince them of anything. I just have to say, hey, I also have this. And so then you're able to, like, when you think of a funnel where there's like this and then this and then this, it gets so complicated sometimes, but it's just in the setting up of it. That somebody buys something from you, they get that good experience, and then you say, hey, we also have this, and we also have this. So I'm building in my own busy season and building in the upsells when they're more apt to buy, instead of trying to convince them in like February or something, when everybody's like, oh, shoot, I spent so much during the holiday season and I'm on lockdown now.
So I think in working with our clients in this new program that we're doing, we've always been really involved, but through all the groups that we've hosted and coached through, we've also asked for the feedback. So we cherish the people that have been in our groups, and we cherish their feedback and what they've said. And we've like integrated parts into this new program that they've mentioned, and we're like, that's a genius idea. Thank you for that. We're going to use that. So one thing that we're doing, and you can kind of see these trainings that we're starting to train our listeners on, where we were focusing on subscription boxes, or right now we were focusing on the power of video. All of these things that we're learning, we're also going to be integrating into this program. And so really strategizing, how are we going to incorporate video into your business and challenging the people in these groups to start using video. And as a group within that group that we are going to create for everyone, it's also going the feedback from each other. It's going to help say, so if you have a food business, for example, like you create, granola bars, let's say, and these granola bars have an effect on, I don't know, like their protein granola bars. It might be the group talking about what kind of videos you can do around protein granola bars and what they'd like to see. Because a lot of times we hear that our clients don't really know what to talk about. If you have just like, again, I'll go back to clothing lines, but if you have a clothing line, what are you talking about? Like, what's the purpose? And so by being within the group, there's that feedback of saying like, you know what, I'd love to learn this, or I saw this happen on this video and I think you could integrate it into that. And it's that power of all of these minds, which is masterminding together for your business.
Yeah, we've seen so many different types of businesses for sure, even in our coaching and in our mastermind groups, and then also just in our community, in our Facebook community. I think that thinking about that and that's, if this program is right for you, it's really right for everybody because everybody has a holiday season, and everybody should give yourself that good push starting from September. Like that is your runway and start ramping up for it. And then that way, you're able to test a lot of things, and that gives you the best leverage during that time because you have all these other minds, you have all these other people helping you along the way. And that was one thing that we also learned was that we're actually switching our program, so then you have to do connection. You have to be accountable. Not so much you have to be, but we're assigning you like buddies every other week on the off week that you do like coffee chats with. So then you're meeting those people, you're getting to know them better. So you're working on each other's businesses and kind of making a connection. You don't really have to be working on each other's businesses, but maybe getting to know the person behind the business. And that way you're able to dig a little bit deeper outside of the group as well.
Because we're ultimately creating a community. So I'll tell you the game changer in my life, game changer, which is Minna Kunlo-Sita, my partner. But I've had my business over a decade. I started my business in my mid-20s. I figured it out as I went. I had clients, I had my boyfriend that's now my husband to talk to about stuff. I've had siblings that I've been able to sort of bounce ideas off of, friends that have no idea what I'm doing. But it was always me sort of like I talk about this, but being on this lonely island or this island of like, you're not sure. You're not sure if other people are having those same struggles or, what they're going through. And so a year ago, I had found my community through a podcast that also had a community on Facebook where I started, dabbling and kind of talking about things in there. And then found Minna, and we've talked about this, but found Minna where we were talking about, I have a product-based business. I went to Minna for some advice. We clicked. We started meeting each other at these other events. We went to a live event, just all of these things that we started doing. And I was in a mastermind myself. And all of a sudden I had all these friends that got me and that understood my business. So if you're doing this on your own, you may have friends. We're women. We're mothers of young kids. So the place that I'm in, let's say, for example, I have my friends that are still single that just didn't, transition as well into me being a mom of young children. I have friends that are married. I have people that work in corporate companies. I have, my long-term friends. They're not the people you call about your business. Sometimes your spouse, not the person you talk to about your business. Minna has this excellent relationship with her husband in her business. My husband and I are in totally separate businesses. We're supportive of each other, but they're two different things. And so as much as I would complain to him about stuff, he can only be there so much as, so this community that we're creating and not forcing you guys into, but creating this like accountability partner or a digger deep dive into meeting. Because what we realized is when we were able to meet these people in person in the community that we're a part of, we were able to kind of like solidify our relationships much quicker when Minna and I met each other in person. But we would Voxer and FaceTime and do all those things where we could see each other on video. But having that little that conversation, having someone know more about your business, and like they might be good at something else in their business, like they might come from a different industry, and that added value into your business or that different eye, it's different than what Minna and I could even provide to our groups. And that's the goal, right? It's someone, so what we're basically doing is per month for the 6 months of the group, we're going to have you work with per month a different person so you can see if that relationship fits, if they can add value to your life, and you could do the same for them.
Yeah, it's all about that connection. I can't even imagine my life. What would my life look without Jacqueline, you guys? Well, I sure as heck wouldn't have a podcast.
Mhm.
I probably would be so sad and lonely. And it's like you add in a person and they change you and you become more inspired and you make more intelligent choices for your business. She's the person that I talk to for a lot of high level stuff that I'm just like, oh my gosh, my husband doesn't even get it because he does the inventory. Plus, it's just a different mind for sure. And then she's like the yin to my yang. Is that the right word? Yin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it is. So then she's able to pull stuff out of me that I am never able to pull out of myself. So it just, each person is so different. Each person makes a different connection with you. I think there's other people that I've met that kind of inspire me in different ways outside of Jacqueline, even. So then it's just like, I can't even imagine what our masterminders would be like if they hadn't come into our groups, right?
Yeah. So I just want to talk about that because we've had a few groups at this point, and we've been able to sort of see those interactions outside of us where all of a sudden you're talking to somebody, you're like, wait, hold on, you guys met each other in person, or,
Uh-huh.
so it's kind of like when your kids grow up and they leave the house and you're like so impressed that they know how
Yeah.
to
You
make
feel
their
so
bed.
proud.
Yeah. So just some things that we've seen happen. Okay. So I just want to give you guys a scenario of these relationships that were created. We have a labor and delivery nurse, and we have somebody who does stuff for postpartum. So that labor and delivery nurse has introduced the postpartum product person to people within the hospital she works with, plus a store that she knew. And so there was a connection there. Then the postpartum became friends with somebody who does super blingy bathing suits. And they actually formed a very close relationship where they actually became biz besties because they came from, they both have young children and they were both in corporate. So the fact that they had corporate jobs, they were able to bond on that they were balancing their businesses, plus still being responsible to their corporate lifestyle and travel, plus having these young kids. In that they've motivated each other. They've created this relationship. One of the corporate people left her full-time job
Mm-hmm.
while we were there and switched completely full-time into her business, her product-based business. The other person actually decided that she actually got a job offer while we were all working together to be higher level in a corporate job. And she decided that like the money was too hard to pass up, but she had the support of the group to help her figure out how to keep balancing the product biz that she has plus her genius, because she is a genius in her
And
corporate job.
she is a powerhouse. Like she can do it all. She really
Everything.
can.
And
And
then
then,
so wait, I'm sorry. Just
yeah.
also with the blingy bathing suits,
Mm-hmm.
she also happens to live close to another partnership, like two people that were in our group that were partners, and they use similar materials. They use similar bling. So they've talked about actually splitting the bling amongst each other to not have to hit the minimums they have to hit. And so ways to sort of collaborate with other businesses that are somewhat aligned. And then whenever anybody's traveling, wherever they're going, they're able to meet each other and see each other in person and have that kinship. So what were you going to add?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say they don't call each other biz besties. They call each other Voxer besties.
Ah.
So whichever way you want to cut it, we're making besties.
Which I don't think you and I ever realized that was going to be, there's no way we could have looked at that and said they were going to be friends,
Yeah.
and support systems ultimately to each other, because it's support also in understanding the place you're at. So in our other group that we have somebody with a patentable item. She's created this amazing patentable item that can be used in at least two of the other companies that are in our group's businesses. So her item that she's patenting, she never really considered wholesaling this item. She just considered, she's created the patent and she was going to just sell this under her own brand. And so within our group, we talked about other people could use this. This is like a genius idea. If you're investing into it, why not, scale it if she wanted to do that. And so these other two businesses that are also doing quite well are starting to chat with her about whether they are going to purchase, like do a wholesale program. And let me tell you, what better way to test that, like to test wholesale, than with people that you know and trust because you've been in this community and this group with them, that you guys, there's this level of also this communication where they're able to say like, this is working for me, this isn't working for me, why don't we try this, da, da, da. So it's a soft launch into that and this test in like a comfortable place where these people do care about you and they want you to be successful as well. So it's just a comfortable launch.
Yeah, the connections you make are just so great. Last week, which hopefully this is, speaking in the right order here, we we had a roundtable discussion about video with Natalie and Veronica. I would like to be Please note that I am the introducer here of Natalie to Veronica and to Jacqueline. So, years from now, when she changes their business and they change her business, then it's just we can look back on that roundtable and be like, geez, that was a gazillion years ago, it feels like. And that was, where it all began. So that's kind of it starts with a little bit of a connection. And then when you get into our program, you get into such another level with each other that you're able to understand each other where, I have tons of friends as well. I hardly see them, but, they never really got what I was doing. And then also I always felt like I was a little bit crazy for them, risk wise. So that when I would be launching stuff or launching new products, I would be so pumped for it, right? And be like, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing that. Hey, I have a podcast now. Hey, we offer masterminds now. And the looks on their faces would be like,
It's like,
like, what is she talking about? And what is she doing? Like, she is so crazy bonkers. And so getting to be around people that are like, yes, you know what you should do. And this is what I've tried and what doesn't work and what does work. And here's a shortcut and here's a tool I use. It makes such a difference in your life that it always overflows into other areas,
They speak our love language.
Yeah, they do. Our love language is biz.
It really is. I mean, that's the difference, right? Like entrepreneurs we get such highs off of like ideas and launching things and being successful and trying things and, having that failure, but getting back up. And I think that's the community that we've really jived on, people and for us women wise, like finding women entrepreneurs, but like high level CEO level entrepreneurs or people, and that's the part like where you're just like, oh, you get me. Oh, you get me. Like you can shortcut the conversation because they get you. And the other really big thing is accountability. So Mina and I can hold each other accountable, but we really, I think a lot of times are just like brainstorming, talking through things, helping each other. I have somebody else in my life that's really high level and she's sort of for accountability where we check in with each other on accountability. But the other thing that I really like about our groups is we'll also test like likes and follows and watches and views and shares. So if you start with 10 people, that when you put something out there, if we all make that commitment to each other that we're going to like the video, we're going to comment, we're going to do at least one share, it's going to start expanding that out, which is more than sometimes you can ask your friends to do when you know how Facebook gives you that option to like share your page with everybody that you've ever known. Well, that's great, but they don't care and they're not really in it to help you push your business forward.
Yeah, honestly, I wish all my friends would push and share and like everything I do. It costs them $0, okay? Like, why?
Come on,
Why
friends,
can't
if
they
you're
sit
listening.
back and just, reshare everything I'm doing? It would be so nice. But these people are the people that get you and they just are like, yes, understood. And, it's amazing to have those people in your life because you just feel normal. It's your new normal. High level, uh, action taking and then also being accountable to each other is your new normal. And that's what's so amazing about it.
And so, the meetings that we have they're about an hour and a half. They're all on video. So you shortcut into seeing each other and getting to know each other. They're all recorded. So you get to listen back to it, not video recorded. We don't share that because it bounces and people don't really like to watch themselves, but the video that you can listen or you can listen to the audio. So it's sort of like listening to a podcast. And you can fast forward to the parts that you need so that you can stay really focused on what information and feedback you're getting, not having to worry about writing notes, and then you can go back and process it later. And so by doing that, you're working with Minna and I. And if you've listened to this podcast, or if you want to go back through the episodes, we've done some one-on-one coaching in our podcast episodes, and we will continue to. But we got some amazing feedback actually from people that were, I'm not sure who we were chatting with, but one of the points of someone saying that they have boxes all over their house. And we got a message from one of our listeners saying, it made me feel so much better to know that they have boxes all over their house as well, because you think you're the only person ever in product having stuff everywhere, but you're not.
What's so crazy is I have a sign up because we have, like my kids' cousins, and then my kids, not their friends, just their cousins, that play in the basement. So I have a sign up that says, please do not touch boxes. Because, it's like we call it our box wall. It's just empty boxes, but we don't flatten them out because we just like to grab them and we know what size they are. It's so hard to visualize a flat box. So then my sister was like, seriously, you have to have this sign up here? I was like, yes, I do have to have that sign up here, because do you know what would happen is there'd be like, oh, box wall, let's climb it. Or let's, make these into a million different things. So
my son would like ram into it to watch it all fall.
Yes. And then it's against the wall. So I'm sure he'd hurt himself. But, it's just like factory life. So,
it'd be fun actually if you guys go to our Facebook page for the Product Boss. Let's post some pictures. Let's do like a chain of what our
it's
boxes
so embarrassing.
Look like.
My basement is so embarrassing.
It's okay. Let's share it. I mean, we could do it in our private community. So if you want to join that, because then it feels a little safer. But you asked to join our private community, which is the Product Boss community. Mm-hmm. And in there we share tips and we coach in there, and we share with our listeners. But I just moved and I have Cuffs Couture, which follows me everywhere, which
it's haunting you.
I need to get on Zulily, so maybe I should just coach myself into this. But I have boxes shoved into a corner right now, and they need to be like picked and put out, but the way that I even inventoried them, there's like paper on the outside that says this is everything that's in it. This is the quantity, and they're all bagged inside within like the style that it is. So, so we can share. And then that's the thing, right? Like you get to see the dirty, like back behind the scenes stuff that you're not sure, like if you want to have friends over to your house because you don't want them to see what your house looks like, but you're building an empire. So share
it's not that glamorous for sure, but it's awesome because so many people have that in their houses.
So
not
many.
Cuffs Couture, but still, like box walls.
Box walls, like packaged items, like, I have out of my clients, they always ask if they should have, someone do their packing and shipping and drop shipping. And I'm really a big believer, to be honest, when you're starting, if you can house it wherever you are and you get your hands dirty and you're filling the orders, because it's that time of like understanding all the steps of your business. So that way, when you do hire, you're able to hire someone into that role, and you understand the process of like how to pick and ship and label and bag and everything. So there is something, I mean, what do you think, like, especially when you started, think back, like there's something really satisfying. Even that first order, it's like, it validates, like, you're like, oh my God, like I'm sitting here and I've made this stuff and people actually want it and I'm shipping it to them and they've given me money for it. This is amazing.
Yeah, unless you do it yourself, you'll never be able to tell where the bottlenecks are. So you won't be able to hire out for that specific bottleneck of an area. Also, yeah, there's some validation, and there is no gasoline on that fire like having to fulfill yourself when you don't want to of growing your business and getting it outsourced, because you're just like, oh, this is so much fun for that little bit. And then you're like, oh, I have to do these packages by the end of the day.
That's like worse. That's like rich man problems, right? Like that's your worst problem.
Yeah. First world problems.
First world. So something also to think about in our program that we'll work with you on are, especially if you're launching, for example, or what your terms are, like what what the legalities are within your business of when do you ship? We're not Amazon. We're not Amazon Prime. Do you ship at all hours? Do you get them out within the next day, like within the same day? Or are you a human being with a family and you need to, maybe you don't ship on weekends? And so that's something we can work through with you. And then this is the biggest thing. You're coming up on holiday. So when I launched Cuffs Couture 8 years ago, I don't remember. It was a long time. I launched it before Thanksgiving, but I got a hit, like I got a press hit right before this Thanksgiving rush, which led me into Black Friday, right? So all of a sudden I had crazy sales happening, and thank God my products are small, because it's probably the same with you. Like you could have packed these in your car if you needed to, but all of a sudden I'm packing things with me, like inventory to take up north to my in-laws' house. And I was shipping out of their little UPS station, like next to farmland, basically, and gluing and putting things together, because I was not prepped for what would happen if I left my business to go on, let's say, my holiday planned trip for Christmas. And I think, Minna, you made fun of me about this. Like, why didn't I think about it?
With little Jacqueline.
Being little, young baby product Jacqueline. But nobody was buying. So I didn't think it was going to hit, I had 2 orders up until that point. So what did I really think was going to happen?
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. And, just to tell you, I used to do flash sales. Had this one floral camera strap, and I sold it, and it was like 100 orders. I got 100 orders, you guys. Like, I was over the moon. And this was just unbranded. It was from my Etsy shop. And I did a flash deal site, and I got over 100 orders. Well, I didn't have Shipping Easy. I didn't even know there was that type of software where you can print it off on your computer. I was at the machine at USPS, and there was people who were so annoyed of me. I was one by one. I had it in like a big box, so you couldn't tell because the camera straps are folded and they look like small. So then they were like, oh, she's almost done. Well, another package would come out, and I would print off that stamp because I didn't want to go buy the stamps from like standing in the big line. I was just doing the machine. And so I did that for 100 freaking packages, and I built up a line of people behind me, and they had to have been so mad at me. But I didn't know that you could print stamps and the online. Like, I didn't have that set up. I was just like, okay, I'll just crank this out. And then you have to have it sent by 3 days at the very most. So then I was like, oh man, I need to get this out. And that's the one way I knew how to do stuff. And that is what I'm talking about shortcuts. I wish there was somebody that said, you can print this off online with a tool that's called Shipping Easy. And it costs you like, 50 packages for free, and then after that it's only like $30. So
buy back your time.
Yes. And people staring you down with side eye.
So same. So like this was a while ago, and I was figuring it out. Baby Jacqueline was figuring it out. And so I was using 3D Cart. It was, 3D Cart was like this sort of like right now. It was clunky for what I was doing. I couldn't for the life of me get my UPS accounts like linked with my products. And so thank God I have my other business, Designer Consulting Co-op, and I had my team, because I actually had like a full team. They would manually, every time we got an order, they'd manually put in the label, and we used UPS, and they would manually put it in. So like every single person that ever purchased, their name got written out, their address, they're shipped to, and labels are printed. And then we were picking and shipping in my office. But if I had figured out how to automate it, or if I put more time into it or whatever, it wasn't as clunky, they wouldn't have. Let's put it this way. There's a lot of people in my life that hate cuffs because of the things I've had them do with this business. And that would be my assistants too, where they're like, oh my God, we got an order. Like, they didn't care that I was so excited to be selling my stuff. They're like, oh, we have to like get it out of the thing and pack it and because they had another job. So things like that, yeah, I think Minna and I also, it would have been so much easier if someone was like, try Shipping Easy, use Shopify. And obviously podcasts, we're here, we're giving you guys all this information, but it's also digging into your biz. So we had a coaching call with a couple clients the other night, and they had done working with Minna and I at the same time. And Minna and I met before we ever met with them, and we kind of did an analysis of their business. Well, what we saw in terms of their brand identity, their logo, their labeling, their packaging versus the visual images that they were using, there was a major disconnect. They in their head thought that they were appearing to be like granola, I guess, like a granola look. But then their images were so Instagrammable and beautiful. And there were two of them and two of us. And when you're in it, even if you have a partner, sometimes you just can't see, like you don't have that bird's eye view on your biz. And so with our experience and Minna and I being involved in lots of businesses in terms of our people in our groups and seeing what they're doing, we're also able to learn and gather information and be able to use it with the people in our group. So things that we've learned from other people, or just seeing inside of different businesses, kind of like seeing behind the curtain and knowing maybe changes that they could make to improve it.
Yeah, I can't even imagine if Jacqueline and I were in a actual attendees of a mastermind together. Because remember at Seller Summit, I was like Miss Know It All, not Miss Know It All, but I was like I was ready to coach every single person in there. If Jack and I were both there together, it would be like, here's what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And so you actually get that. You actually get those executable steps of what to do, step by step. It's not, the way that we both teach, like Jacqueline does a lot of broad overview, the big picture stuff, and then I do a lot of breaking down, so we're able to look at it from two different angles, and then that way we know that you're going in the right direction but also doing the right steps to get there. It's a huge difference to your business, especially since like when we were coaching these two people, there was two of them, but then getting on the same page I think is really hard too, because you're in it so deep. You have what you know, and then you're not sure what you've talked about, and then on top of it, honing your message between two people is really hard, because even honing it with one person, you're just one person, you're just like, what's my story and what's my message and what's my unique selling point? It's so hard.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing we're going to offer too, which was sort of feedback from our group, was trainings. Like, so we meet every other week. And what our feedback was that they felt like they wanted some sort of touch point or some sort of communication weekly to keep their businesses moving forward. A lot of the companies, are growing, whether they're launching, or in the 5 to 6 figure range. There's a lot of businesses there, and we've also have 7-figure businesses that we've worked with as well within our groups. But they needed a little bit more accountability. They needed a little bit more hands-on. And so we're actually, instead, what we were doing is we had some really amazing trainings that we had done master classes, but we're actually going to do these trainings ourselves now based on what we're dealing with in our groups. So we have a couple groups. There's limited spaces available, but what we've seen, it's funny because we've done groups of people, or we've had hot seats from different lists or people in the group, and they were the same hot seat. Like one, which is why we launched into this video realm, was on how to use video in their businesses. And so that was something that we saw, and that could be something that we did a deeper training into for our group.
Yeah, I think we see reoccurring things, especially with people in similar stages. But even people out, like a 7-figure person could possibly be dealing with something that's different or something that's similar to a 5-figure business person. But it's just really digging deeper and thinking about the strategy behind it. And that's what we're going to do. We initially had a masterclass from an expert that was coming in externally and teaching them stuff. And what we found in chatting with them is they want us just to do the training ourselves and dig deeper. So then, for instance, when you're listening in on, let's say, a video podcast, you can only go surface level with that, so then we can apply it specifically in our mastermind and really, really think about each individual business with the hot seats and everything.
So, for example, for video, we might do a content creation list where we're having them brainstorm on the content that they could share. Maybe there's feedback within the group on what content really stands out as something they feel would be valuable for that product biz. And then it might be creating a content calendar. So how often are you showing up? How often are you, because we said it's all about, consistency. So is it something that you can do once a week? Veronica from Vintage Meet Modern, she has her Wednesday nights that people know to tune in for, versus Natalie was doing the she does Facebooks, she repurposes them. She also has her YouTube channel, and YouTube is something that can go viral. So just thinking about what your businesses are. Now remember, Minna and I are also investing and spending a lot on our own personal growth development, business training, and also within the high level people that we interact with on a daily basis, be it between the podcast, be it between the communities that we're a part of. And so all of that, all those learnings we're sharing with you as well. So, if it's about accountability, if it's about the fact that we were so honored to have Coach Glitter on. I mean, that, like, the stuff that she knows that we are learning from her, our listeners or our groups may not listen to our podcast as often as they should, but they may not. And so we may deep dive with Tiffany from Coach Glitter and then be able to relay that information to our groups.
Yeah. I love learning from so many different people because then it's like how people process it later on and then make it actionable too. And I think that's the key difference. Like you can chit chat with anybody, even if you have biz friends that are, you're not paying for a mastermind, let's say. You can chit chat with them or you can be accountable to them or become accountability partners. But unless you're spending money and time into a mastermind that you're paying for, it probably will not yield the results that you want it to yield because you're just, not as emotionally and attached to that, like when you're investing your time and money into something, you just yield more results because it's just how human nature is. Like
Well,
you want it to happen more.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, like the investment is really big and important. And it's something that we've seen because I was in a paid mastermind, like a really high level paid mastermind. And there was a group of us that decided, we're going to chat still. Like we're not doing it again, but we'll chat every so often. We haven't jumped on a call at all because when the facilitator wasn't there and she really pushed us and held us accountable for showing up, like you had to show up. And then also the fact that we had an investment into this, like we were investing into ourselves. So as business owners, we weren't going to just blow the cash that we were spending in our personal growth. Right now, it's just really easy to push it. It's really easy to be like, let's talk next Wednesday. And nobody is available to talk next Wednesday. So another added on bonus, also feedback, are office hours. So we'll do the trainings. And so that's sort of in an off week of working, in between our calls. And then there's office hours. So once a month, we're going to do office hours with a live Q&A with Minna and I for questions. And here is going to be where it's really cool. This is where our groups are actually going to all come together. There's going to be one office hours. That's when you actually get to mingle with other people, like other businesses, and actually get to hear about things that are happening outside of the group that you're in. Everybody's under an NDA, just so everybody knows. So we all are in it to protect each other. And, Minna and I are very aware of like conflict of interest or, if someone has like similarly aligned brands, we are super aware of like how you guys can actually benefit from each other versus feeling in competition with each other. So we have 2 bag lines right now. I actually don't think I've shared this with you, Minna, but
Lay it on me.
No, but we have somebody who wanted to be in the mastermind, but our group was full. And then somebody who was, and they were both accessory handbags, small handbag lines. We actually had a third one too. And we weren't sure if they should all be in the same group together because if they were in competition with each other. Well, guess what turns out at the end of this? They're actually talking and becoming friends on Facebook and actually sharing like the things that they're dealing with and the factories they're using. And one is asking the other, how much should I pay? I paid this, like these are my minimums. And so it's someone that they're not really in competition with each other. And it's somebody who gets that language. Like just think about handbags, like, and the deal that's so different than if you're creating labels or you're creating, like a home good type product. And they've connected and now they've got each other to lean on.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like how there's multiple music artists and multiple coaches. I hate to break this to you, Jacqueline, but we might not be for everybody.
You know what? We don't want to be for everybody.
So it's just like, there's people that resonate with you better than others. I feel like if you feel it in your gut that this is the right timing for you and this is exactly, this is what you need and you need these shortcuts, then you should definitely be in our program. I think a lot of the times that people decide not to be in our programs, it has to do with timing and they're unsure about it. But, they know deep down if it's going to help them. And I 100% think that it'll help anybody. It's just whether or not we fit into their timing or not, you know?
And you have to think about that investment into your business. So I actually was at an event yesterday with like high level women in business, and they were talking about sort of what has pushed them. And one woman was like in her 10th year of business. And she's like, you know what? At 10 years, I realized I had to start investing into myself. And now this doesn't have to be for everybody, but I think also because these communities are easier to access, like we didn't always have Facebook groups, you know, their podcasts weren't as big, like masterminds are definitely a trend right now. But she was like, at 10 years, I was like, something needs to change. I've been doing this way. And now I feel like something needs to shift or change. So whether you're 10 years into your business or you're a startup, and I've built my business off of consulting people for the over a decade at this point. And the reason why is that there is value in working with an expert. There is value in having somebody be able to kind of shortcut these decisions that you have to make. And that investment into you and your business, like tenfold. I used to wish that I went and had my minor in business. I used to think like I needed to go back to school for business to be able to run this business. Well, hard knocks, years and years. I was just talking to my husband, I was like, I can't believe the things I did when I was 26. Like the models I hired, like the websites I launched, like all the things I kind of just didn't figure it out. And if I had somebody helping me through it, like how much quicker I could have moved, or also been confirmed that like the decisions I was making were correct. You know, that it wasn't dumb. I wasn't wasting money. Like things were on the right path.
Yeah, I think that there does need to be some sort of investment, whether it be in education or courses or experts or coaches, if you want a shortcut. Otherwise, you're going to have to learn yourself. I have my MBA, guys, from a private school, and all I got me was $60,000 in debt and, and not a lot of knowledge. You know why? Because I was 23 years old and I did not absorb that knowledge because I was much too young to understand running my own business and living life, like you have to learn to a certain extent by yourself. And when they were talking to me about project management and this and that, it was for corporate stuff. It wasn't for entrepreneurialism, for one. And then secondly, I just was not ready in my life to be like, hey, I want to be accountable for those sorts of responsibilities. It was more like I literally was going in thinking I'm going to get my MBA and maybe my PhD and be a professor or something. And then, it was a different life path. And, I even say that to my husband to this day. What a waste of my money. And
You're
he
so
always
funny.
says, he always says, no, I mean, think about the stuff that you learn. And then I do an eye roll. So that's like a common conversation.
But let me just actually, you bringing that up, let's just talk about the difference between like 20 something us and then or early 20 something and then where we are now. The fact that I want an accountability partner, like I want somebody to hold me accountable to something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, it was like, oh, don't bother me. I'm good. Like I'm going to sleep in. Oh, it's going to be fine. Like I was such a procrastinator and I thrived off of procrastination, like that adrenaline of it. But now I'm like, God, I really wish someone could just like be that person who's like, Jacqueline, did you, did you launch that new product on Wednesday when you said you were going to launch it? Did you go live 5 times this week? Because that's what you said you were going to do. And I'd be like, thank you so much for holding me accountable.
I can't even imagine like what I would have been if I was not an entrepreneur, for one, which kind of snuck up on me because I didn't want to work for somebody else. But I mean, even like, if you don't ever expose yourself to other people or have other people push you, you know what you know, and your business will be what it is. Your business, like you're in that bubble type of business. But when you have other people pushing you, like a coach or friends or accountability partners, it pushes your circle bigger and your business becomes bigger. It becomes better and it becomes different than what you imagined it to be. Yes, but greater. And so Little Labels, for instance, I mean, I think I had mentioned that I was going to be the face of the brand and everything. Like, that's a big deal. I would never have done that on my own. And then also just like thinking about different products and, realizing what my strengths are. I would never have even looked at my strengths had it not been for people pointing out things like, hey, you're really good at that or whatever. And then also I would never have hired out people. I'm just the type of person that was raised to think you can do it if you can figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then it was other people saying, you should just hire that out. And now, man, I'm addicted to it. Like, I love it so much.
I get a Voxer every day from Minna going like, by the way, I just hired this person. By the way, I just, but that's the thing I think that, again, when you're kind of doing this on your own and there's not really a reference point, you're not sure when you should hire something out, or should you just be doing it yourself? How many people have said like, I'm just going to build my website. I'm going to watch a YouTube video and I'm going to do it. Or you're going to manage your Facebook ads, things like that. And working with us or listening to podcasts and teaching yourself, like, we're able to say, you know what, like, you might blow a lot of money trying to do your own Facebook ad. There are people who know it. Why don't you invest a little bit into that, learn from them, and then you could kind of take it over as you've like built your audience up or your website. Hi, Minna and I can fast forward that for you so quickly. We have like a great reference that we send everybody to for like a very basic, not very basic, but like a starter Shopify site. So, hey, we could give that to you. Like, you don't have to do, your research is done. Like, I just gave it to my mom actually. It's like, because my mom was going to like try and figure out building her own site. I'm like, Mom, come on. Like, that's not what you're good at. Like, do you have some money? Do you have a few extra $100? And if you don't, we've also bootstrapped our businesses and we've done a lot on our own. And we can also work through that with you on how to bootstrap or how to raise capital. We have a couple people during the time of working with us that have been ready to launch their Kickstarter campaigns. And we were in on like the ground level with that and seeing the video and giving feedback and or pushing people into decisions they didn't think they were going to make.
Yeah, I think that's actually we should point out is that we're really good at bootstrapping. Both of us started at zero. We coach people that start at zero. We know nothing, or I know nothing about getting investments and venture capitalists and, any of that stuff. So if that's the route you want to take, it's probably not the program for you. We are definitely pro bootstrapping because that's what we've done. That's what we can help with. And what our own experiences have lent to as far as, our area of expertise. So I think but hooray for us. Like, I feel like we've come so far. Baby Jacqueline and baby Minna turned into coach, Jacqueline and coach Minna.
It's true. And I mean, even for us, like, we launched this podcast in January, and I think September, October will be a year into our group coaching. And I mean, it's things that we also never thought, I guess, possible, or when we started coaching and masterminding and seeing how people have changed and evolved and we love doing it. That's the thing, right? Like, we both have our businesses that's what's supporting our family. That's, what we take our vacations on. But this business has just been something that's like fed our soul, really. Like, just the two of us being able to work on a project together. And then also our clients, our people in our groups, like our listeners, and interacting, because it also is that tribe that we were looking for, which is why Minna and I started in the very beginning. Like, oh, product, I know product, let's be friends. And so we want them all to be our friends.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. We've made so many strides as far as like learning so much, and then we're kind of giving that extra knowledge to our clients too. I honestly never thought I was going to work with clients again after my, 12 years in graphic design with corporations and dealing with boards. And it was, enough to send me over the creative burnout edge. But I've loved it so much. And getting to know everybody and helping them, and then also showing them, hey, there's an easier way to do this, which is like so gratifying. Like, how like when let's say, even if you knew about a product that was like, hey, what would save you so much time? You should, this is actually my sister. She's great at this. She'll be like, hey, you know what you should try? Blah, blah, blah. And she'll have a list of like tools or a list of like different products that she's bought off of Amazon and stuff. And then I'll try it. And so it's just like the same thing. When you have someone else in your mastermind thinking about your business and they're like, hey, you know what you should try? And it just makes it so much easier and then more fun. And then I don't know. I just love things that come easier.
Well, you're like a mom who loves easy. That's your tagline.
Yeah, it is. I love moms who love easy.
Yeah, like in one of our groups, one of the businesses was kind of struggling with, not struggling. I don't even think she realized it was an issue, but people brought up the logo and that the logo didn't really make sense to what the product was. And so one of the other people in the group actually hand drew like a whole little
Infographic.
an infographic for her to say like this would make sense. And then the action that they took, like how quickly they moved on that and shifted and changed it. And that same person, who by the way, I have like a special place in my heart for, and has I'm so proud of the things that she's done in her business. But she had a home product, like a kitchen product that is hard to sell in it's hard to just people have to know what you're making with that product, right? And so she's converted in our mastermind, like with working with us, I connected her with somebody who could do the artwork for her, like a graphic designer, and she's created kits now. So she took this product, turned it into a kit, which made it so easy for people to conceptualize and say like, that is so cute, I'm going to buy that kit. Like, and so she's actually like at the very end of this group, she showed us what her kit was. And that's what she's moving into for the second half of this year, is taking it from this individual item into these kits. And it makes it fun and I feel like easier to sell.
Yeah, it makes it more understandable for people because it puts it into context. When you have a product that's hard to explain sometimes, people don't know what to do with it unless it's in the context of how they're going to use it. So the kit really lended that experience for her. So she's selling the experience along with the products. She's basically curated them into a kit. So there's no explanation because you can look at it and be like, oh, I see what's going on there, and then it's just like the infographic brought to life.
And then they can actually rebuy the individual item, like the actual product that she makes separately, because now you've sort of engaged with them. You've taught them about this, making this food item. And then basically now they can then go back and reorder the core product that she initially started with. And so that's a way to keep them engaged in like that halo effect, right? So they love it, they've liked it, they've tried it, and now they might experiment on their own by just buying her core product individually.
Yeah, love it so much. I mean, so many good things come out of a mastermind, just alone of friendship and feeling that camaraderie. Just imagine yourself normal living life, but then imagine the inspired, accountable version of you. Like, obviously that one person, as you in that state gets more done. And I think that as an entrepreneur, you need stuff like that feeds your soul.
So again, if you're interested for the Holiday to Halo group coaching program, we are launching it. It's launching in September. We already have people reserving their spots now. We do have a wait list that the first priorities go to them. And then our listeners who we'd love to have you apply to be a part of it. So thanks again, everyone. And really get motivated. Like summer, depending on what's happening in your business, use it, whether you're pulling back a bit and you're spending time with your family, or you're pulling back and you're spending time in the sunshine and sleeping in, or if it's like Minna, like that time that you're ramping up to back to school, whatever it is, enjoy the sunshine and get ready for an excellent Q3 and Q4 of 2018.
Still here? Make sure to review us on iTunes so we can keep churning out episodes for you to build your business.